Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janna Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Jasoda Nandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jasoda Nandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jasoda Nandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajapacharya Nasto Karasata Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Sri Sri Gauranitai Ki Sri Sri Radha Govardhana Dari Ki Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Sri Giriraj Govardhana Ki New Govardhana Dharma Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Ora Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So continuing with our reading of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 1, starting with text 127 this morning, everyone. And there are 24 verses without a purport, so we'll read through all of those and eventually get to Srila Prabhupada's purport. So, Pove Yabi Prabhu Ramanandira Milila Pove Yabi Prabhu Ramanandira Milila Nilachale Ashibare Tanre Agya Dila Nilachale Ashibare Tanre Agya Dila Ove Yabe Prabhu Ramanandira Milila Nilachale Ashibare Tanre Agya Dila. Someone else? Ladies? Any Bengali ladies? Chan? Huve. Before this, Yabe, while Prabhu, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanandere, Sri Ramananda Roy, Milila met Nilachale to Jagannath Puri, Asibare to come, Tanre him, Agyadila ordered. Translation. Previously, when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had been touring South India, he had met Ramananda Roy on the banks of the Godavari. At that time, it had been decided that Ramananda Roy would resign from his post as governor and return to Jagannath Puri to live with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So as we said, no purports for about 24 verses. So I'm just going to read the English translations, everyone, continuing through. Upon the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramananda Roy took leave of the king and returned to Jagannath Puri. After he arrived, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu very much enjoyed talking with him both day and night about Lord Krishna and his pastimes. After Ramananda Roy's arrival, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Kashi Mishra and met Pradyumna Mishra. At that time, three personalities, Paramananda Puri, Govinda and Kashishvara, came to see Lord Caitanya at Jagannath Puri. Eventually there was a meeting with Swarup Damodar Goswami, and the Lord became very greatly pleased. Then there was a meeting with Sikhi Mahiti and with Bhavananda Roy, the father of Ramananda Roy. All the devotees from Bengal gradually began arriving at Jagannath Puri. At this time, the residents of Kulinagram also came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. Eventually, Narahari Das and other inhabitants of Khanda, along with Shivananda Sain, all arrived, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them. After seeing the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed Sri Gundicha temple with the assistance of many devotees. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees saw the Rath Yatra, the car festival ceremony. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself danced in front of the car, and after dancing he entered a garden. At that garden, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon King Prataparudra. Afterwards, when the Bengali devotees were about to return home, the Lord gave separate orders to almost every one of them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to meet all the devotees of Bengal every year. Therefore, he ordered them to come to see the Rath Yatra festival every year. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to dine at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. While he was eating sumptuously, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the husband of his daughter Sati, criticized him. Because of this, Sati's mother cursed him by praying that Sati would become a widow. In other words, she cursed her son-in-law to die. At the end of the year, all the devotees from Bengal, headed by Advaita Acharya, again came to see the Lord. Indeed, there was a great rush of devotees to Jagannath Puri. When all the devotees from Bengal arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters, and Shivananda Sain was put in charge of their maintenance. A dog accompanied Shivananda Sain and the devotees, and that dog was so fortunate that after seeing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was liberated and went back home, back to Godhead. Everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. After arriving at Jagannath Puri, all the devotees met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sported in the water, taking all the devotees with him. First, the Lord washed the temple of Gundicha very thoroughly. Then everyone saw the Rath Yatra festival and the Lord's dancing before the car. In the forest along the road from Jagannath temple to Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. A Brahmana named Krishnadas performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After dancing in the Gundicha temple, the Lord sported in the water with his devotees, and on Hira Panchami day, they all saw the activities of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. On Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as a cowherd boy and carrying a balance with pots of yogurt encircled a log. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees from Gaudadesh, Bengal, and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. To visit Vrindavan, the Lord went to Gaudadesh, Bengal. On the way, King Prataparudra performed a variety of service to please the Lord. On the way to Vrindavan via Bengal, there was an incident wherein some cloth was exchanged with Puri Goshani. Sri Ramananda Roy accompanied the Lord as far as the city of Badrak. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vijayanagara, Bengal, on the way to Vrindavan, he stopped at the house of Vidyavachaspati, who was the brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly arrived at his house, great crowds of people gathered. For 5 consecutive days, all the people gathered to see the Lord, and still there was no rest. Out of fear of the crowd, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at night and went to the town of Pulia, present-day Navadvip, purport by Srila Prabhupada. If one considers the statements of the Caitanya Bhagavat along with the description by Lochan Das Thakur, it is clear that present-day Navadvip was formerly known as Kuliyagram. While at Kuliyagram, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his favour upon Devananda Pandit and delivered Gopal Chapal and many others who had previously committed offences at his lotus feet. At that time, to go from Vijayanagara to Kuliyagram, one had to cross a branch of the Ganges. All of those old places still exist. Chinnadanga was formerly situated in Kuliyagram, which is now known as Kolera-Ganj. Oma Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unnanitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langaite Gurunyat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nevasesha Shunyavadi Paskachara Tatarane. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual masters very kindly come, forced open my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I offer my most respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. By the kindness of the spiritual master, saviour of all fallen souls, even a lame man can cross over mountains, a blind man can see stars in the sky, and a dumb man can recite eloquent Vedic poetry. So, in this section of Caitanya Caritamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving an overview, a synopsis of many pastimes, which we will read about one after another in this Madhya Lila, middle portion of Mahaprabhu's life. Even though this chapter is also entitled The Later Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Mahaprabhu only lived for 48 years, a relatively short span of life. So in this purport, Prabhupada does mention the incident of Mahaprabhu bestowing his favour upon Devananda Pandit. So we might just tell that briefly. That particular pastime is very instructive. And some commentators, historians, say that this incident, original incident, actually happened, the incident between Srivas Thakur, who is none other than the incarnation of Narada Muni, and Devananda Pandit, actually happened before Lord Chaitanya even took birth. So it goes back. So, on one occasion, Srivas Thakur was going about in the township of Navadvip, and he heard the beautiful verses of Srimad Bhagavatam being recited very melodiously, and he was drawn to that place. And Devananda Pandit was a very austere Brahmin, and one could say he earned his livelihood professional Bhagavatam reciter, and he had students. But he wasn't a pure devotee of Krishna. He harbored aspirations for moksha, liberation. But he was very expert, as in ancient times Brahmins would often specialize in teaching one particular shastra or another. So this was Devananda Pandit's speciality. So when Srivas Thakur came and sat in the back of the assembly of students and heard the beautiful verses of the Bhagavatam, he went into a fit of transcendental ecstasy. All of the ecstatic symptoms manifested on his body: profuse tears, horripilation, goosebumps, trembling, his heart was throbbing. So this, for the mundane students of Devananda Pandit, was intolerable, because he was disturbing their lesson. So they picked him up and took him outside and put him on the street. And Srivas Thakur didn't think too much about that. But that was noted by Lord Caitanya as the all-pervading super soul, even before he had appeared, indwelling witness. And the moral of the story is Devananda Pandit shouldn't have allowed his students to do that. That was a grave offence to Krishna's pure devotee, Srivas Thakur. He should have intervened and disciplined his own students, said, no, leave him, he's experiencing transcendental bliss, hearing Krishna's pastimes, but he didn't. So many years later, after Mahaprabhu had begun his Sankirtan movement in Navadvip, he paid a visit to Devananda Pandit and he severely chastised him, and he referred to this incident. And he said, your only recourse is to get the mercy, to actually go and seek forgiveness at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur, which Devananda Pandit was happy to do and did. But on top of that, because he had an erroneous conception of the Bhagavatam and was a separatist mentality, he was encouraged by Mahaprabhu, you really have to take shelter of a pure devotee of Krishna and learn the proper meaning of the Bhagavatam. So by divine arrangement, he got the association of one Vrapashvara Pandit. Now, who can tell me what Vrapashvara Pandit is famous for? 72 hours, correct. Yes, continuously he was able to dance for 72 hours. You have to be completely out of the bodily concept of life to do such miraculous, and he would do that regularly, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also dance for hours every day. Krishna Kirtan, you're going to give that same opinion? Thank you. Confirmed. So, yes, Vrapashvara Pandit spent quite some time with Devananda Pandit and gave him proper understanding. So that's a little of this particular pastime, which Prabhupada mentions here. We did want to say something about the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra this morning, and also where it's found in the Vedic literature and the Vedic literature as a whole. But before we do that, one other fascinating, just to set the scene, because after all, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the anga of bhakti that all of us do, arguably, along with however many hours of service we're doing every day. But especially initiated devotees do make a lifelong vow to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, minimum every day. So there's a wonderful incident, very instructive, in the life of our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that is, in the year 1905, at age 31, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant 1 billion times the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That took him 9 years and 4 months to complete. He was chanting the equivalent of 300,000 times every day. I think that's 192. 64 times 3, correct? So, and that would take him 14 and a half hours each day. He would chant each round in 5 minutes. And before starting his vrata or vow, He found a small parcel of land adjacent the sacred birth site of Lord Caitanya, the Yoga Pit in Mayapur. It was overgrown. He cleared it with his own hands and he built a small thatched cottage on it. And he moved in with a lot of his books and manuscripts. And he only ate once a day some boiled rice. And he had a deity of Lord Caitanya in his thatched cottage. And he chanted on a japamala, which was given to him by his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which Thakur Bhaktivinoda had chanted innumerable Hare Krishna mantra japa on. And some say that his father actually gave him Harinam initiation as a boy, as relatively young. And he had a monthly vow of at least 10 million times chanting Hare Krishna. And there were some colourful incidents during that 9 years and 4 months where some local people, perhaps he didn't own the land, he just cleared it, and so there were some attempts to oust him, but he was resolute and he stayed there, even despite people becoming annoyed with him. So, some envious persons at least. But towards the end, if not at the end of his completion of his vrata in the 12 months 1914 to 1915, both his great spiritual preceptors, his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and his mantra Diksha Guru, passed away. And Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So that was upsetting for young Siddhanta Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, because after he completed his vow, he was planning to go and preach. But out of humility, he was thinking, I will bring any sincere souls to the lotus feet of my father and Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji. And now they've passed away. So what to do? So he thought, perhaps Krishna just wants me to go to Vrindavan and spend the rest of my life doing bhajan, chanting and hearing. Perhaps that's what I should do. But just as he was thinking that night he had a dream. And all of the great personalities in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu himself, the other members of the Panchatattva, the six Goswamis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vijayabhusana, right up to his own father and Gaurkishore Das Babaji, they appeared to him in the dream and said, don't worry, we're right behind you. Go and preach. We will supply as much money and as many men as you need. So with that confirmation, he went to Calcutta. And very similar to our own Srila Prabhupada, who struggled enormously both to get out of India, and the first year Prabhupada was in America was incredibly difficult struggle for him. So in the same way, the first year in Calcutta, it was very difficult for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He didn't have many supporters. He may have initiated. It said he actually had initiated one or two persons with the blessings of both his gurus, even while they were still physically present. Some people had approached him. So he had a little support, but not much. So it was a great struggle. But then gradually, as had been ordained in the dream, sincere persons came to his shelter and were only too happy to help him. So now I thought we could talk a little bit. A couple of interesting Sanskrit words. Parampara, one after another. That's the meaning of the word parampara. And sampradaya is like a party. Just like we have political parties that have a particular doctrine, ethos, principles. So similarly, Sampradaya means a party. So we have 4 great Vaishnava Sampradayas, and we belong to one of them, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So, Shruti and Smriti. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra Vinim Vina, Haitaki Hari Bhakti, Utpatajaya Bhakalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures such as the Shruti, the Smriti, the Puranas, Narada, Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. So we all know there's lots of unnecessary disturbances in society running around, causing havoc. We don't need more in the form of inauthentic, unauthorized pseudo-spiritualists teaching watered down, half-baked, sorry, using a couple of cooking analogies here, outdated spiritual practices, which may have been possible back in the Satya Yuga when people lived for 100,000 years, and like Valmiki Muni were able to meditate for 60,000 of those 100,000 years. Not possible in this age of Kali. So everything in spiritual life should be based on the Shruti and the Smriti. Shruti comes first. Shruti refers to the original 4 Vedas and the Upanishads. Rig, Yaja, Sama and Atharva Veda and the Upanishads. They're known as Shruti. And Shruti has a unique dimension, aspect. It's known as Apurushaya. It means it's not of human origin, divine. It's considered one of the 3 co-eternals, the Supreme Lord, the Shruti, and you and I. We're also a co-eternal with Krishna and the Shruti. Never was there a time when I did not exist, Krishna tells Arjuna, nor you, Arjuna, nor all these kings, nor will any of us ever cease to be. So it's also that the Shruti never comes into existence. Sometimes it is spoken, it's described as the breath of Lord Narayan, but that's its unique qualification, which separates it, differentiates it. Don't want to miss any important points here. So, and it has to be heard. In ancient times, it was spoken, and it was generally the privilege of just the Brahminical class to speak, and sincere students would hear and memorize perfectly. Anyone know the meaning of the word Upanishad? Come and sit near. Exactly, Ramprasad. Thank you. Sit down close. Why sit down close? Because the spiritual preceptor has something very worthwhile to share, even secretive. So you have to sit down close to hear. No microphones and sound systems in olden days. So that's it. That is the Shruti. And in ancient times, when there were big Vedic sacrifices, Brahmanas who had heard perfectly would recite in unison, and they would have a referee. And his service was just to hear that all the mantras were being intoned correctly. There was no discrepancy in they had to be passed on perfectly. So that is the Shruti. And the Shruti, and again, we know Krishna is famous as the Lord of the Threes. So there are 3 divisions of Vedic literature: Karma-kanda, Jnana-kanda, and Upasana-kanda. Karma-kanda section of the Vedas, which prescribe ritualistic sacrifices in order to be happy, to be civilized, to have a good life in this realm, and then to promote oneself to the higher realms at the end of this lifetime. That, and this is a scholarly assertion, not just a made-up figure, comprise 90% of all Vedic literatures, Karmakanda section of the Vedas. So, because that's what most people want when we come to the material world to enjoy separately from Krishna, we want to enjoy, but there's ways to enjoy which are civilized, and then there's very uncivilized and barbaric ways, very gross forms of so-called enjoyment. So Vedic culture encourages one to enjoy in a very regulated and pious and auspicious way. So you find that in the Karmakanda section of the Vedas. And also the Upanishads are included there because at some point many people do become dissatisfied with material enjoyment and start to contemplate, is there something beyond this? People become a little philosophical, a little spiritually curious. So then for such persons, we have the Upanishads, 108 principal Upanishads, but there are some others as well. And the essence of all the Upanishads is known as Vedanta Sutra. And Vedanta Sutra is also included within that category. Veda means knowledge, Anta means the end of. Vedaischa saveraham eva vejo, Vedanta krit, Vedanta vet eva chaham. By all the Vedas I am to be known, Krishna says. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, as Srila Vyasadeva, and I am the knower of the Vedas as well. So, the Upanishads are there also, different Upanishads depending again on the spiritual seeker's level of development spiritually. Some persons may be struggling with the conception that the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. That was how Prabhupada opened a lecture once at a town hall. When he came in, he saw that probably 99% of the audience were impersonalists. He shared afterwards to his disciples. So he's just to clarify where he was coming from, so to speak, Prabhupada started his lecture with the statement, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. And then, so that then is what is considered like the Jnanakanda section of Vedic literatures. And within that section, you have Upasana Kanda, which is like a very small section which encourages, Upasana actually is sometimes described or sometimes translated as worship, but it's a more accurate definition is meditation. It's not worship like we think of puja, worshiping Krishna, but it's what was actually practiced in the Satya Yuga when persons would meditate on the Supreme Lord for many, many years. So that is Upasana. It's like a subsection, you could say. Where transcendentalists would meditate in their mind. So, and as we say, some of the Upanishads are more devotional than others. One verse Srila Prabhupada was fond of quoting again and again is found in the Svetasvatara Upanishads, the very last verse, very famous. Yasya Devi Para Bhakti Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasya Hi Kahita Hiyata Prakashante Mahatmanaha. For one who has implicit faith In the words of Krishna and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. And of course we know Srila Prabhupada translated the Isha Upanishad. Isha is another name of the Supreme Lord. Isha Vashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagadam jagat tena tena bundita magaridha kasya swiddanam. Everything animate and inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one should accept only that which is set aside as his quota, and one should not accept more, knowing full well to whom it belongs. So that's another Upanishad. There are about 10 or maybe 15 Upanishads which are considered most important. So that brings us now to where in the Vedic literatures we find the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Perhaps some of you know, but just in case you don't, it's found in a number of places. And anyone know the name of the Upanishad? Thank you very much. Kali Santarana Upanishad. And that is Shruti. But then it comes across from the Shruti to the Smriti, and it's found in a number of Puranas. And it's found in a work known as the Ananta Samhita, in the also in the Garuda Purana, the Agni Purana, and also the Brahmanda Purana. So, and it's interesting, in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, it's Lord Brahma who recites the Mahamantra to his dearmost son, Narad. So we don't get any bigger, more wonderful spiritual authorities than Lord Brahma and Narad. And the verse is there. It's found there. Iti sodashakam nam nam kali kalmashanashanam nata padartha ropaya sava vedeshu drishchite. If one searches through all the Vedic literatures, one will not find a method of self-realization and God-realization more efficacious in the age of Kali than the chanting of these 16 syllables. All together now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But here we have a controversy. Some of you may know. What is the controversial aspect of where it's originally spoken in the Kali Santarana Upanishad? Anybody know? Hare Rama first, correct. Yes. According to some editions, the Mahamantra begins with Hare Rama, and Krishna's name is second. So one might be fascinated to know why, and our Vaishnavacharyas do give wonderful reasons. Interestingly, when it comes across to the Puranas, it's a 50-50. Some Hare Rama first, some Hare Krishna first. But anyway, Kali, just to make it even more confusing. So our acharyas give reasons, and the first very important reason is that Kali Santarana Upanishad is being Shruti, was generally the looking for the right word here, generally uttered by Brahminical persons. So it was off limits, so to speak, to other persons. It's a Vedic mantra, not for all. And in ancient times we know we have what is called linear time, going in a straight line, but we also have cyclic time. And in Vedic civilization, the cyclic time is considered more important. Just like we have 4 ages, we have 4 seasons, they continually revolve in a cycle. And now we're in the fourth age, the age of Kali. So, and it's especially noted by religious historians that from the time of Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, his preference was to chant Krishna's name first. And obviously his followers, his direct disciples and followers. So from the 15th century onwards, it has become more popular to chant Krishna's name first. So that concern is cancelled out, whether Rama's name is first or Krishna's. And one gets the same benefit whether one chants Hare Krishna first or Hare Rama first. Same benefit is there. And in the Vishnu Sahasranam, it is said that you need to chant 3 Ramas to get the same spiritual benefit as chanting once Krishna's name. And some will even say you need to chant 1,000 times the name Vishnu to get the same benefit of chanting Rama once. So that is there. And because Mahaprabhu and his followers are more concerned, not that we disrespect Lord Ramachandra, I have heard it said, Krishna has said that Lord Rama is his favourite incarnation. But because our principal Ishtadeva, worshipable deities, are Sri Sri Radha Krishna, so Krishna's name is there first. It's considered a sampradaya secret in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So, and of course, as Prabhupada wonderfully explained on many occasions, Rama can refer to Lord Balaram, even Lord Parashuram, and Radha Raman, Krishna's beloved, Radha, who is loved by Krishna. So, we've just about run out of time, everyone. I hope that's of some little interest. We can stop here. Does anyone have a question or comment? Please. Do we have a microphone this morning? Just in case somebody does have. Sure, maybe everyone's sappy, satisfied. Ram Prasad and Krishna Kirtan.
I'd read where Prabhupada said that when we're chanting Rama in the mantra, it's actually meaning the source of all pleasure.
Correct. That too, yes. Thanks, Ram, for that clarification. Yes.
Thank you very much for your wonderful class. You were systematically going through the Shrutis and the Smritis, and I was hoping you were going to get to the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's always not fully understood. Because my understanding, it appears like a Smriti, but it's actually also Shruti.
Correct. Good point, yes. And that is the understanding, and Srila Jiva Goswami has written extensively on that point in the Tattva Sandarbha, one of the 6 Sandarbhas, and in many other places as well, that Srimad Bhagavatam is included within Shruti. And others outside of our line are also of that view that even all the Puranas and the Mahabharata can be included in Shruti, known as Panchamam Veda, or the 5th Veda. So yes, good point, thank you.
What Shruti exactly means in terms of Bhagavatam, because we hear the Bhagavatam as a Purana, as an historical account, something that happened at such a time and this happened at that time, like an historical account. But so Shruti means it's always been there.
Correct, yes. And I think in the heavenly planets, the Puranas in total make up 1 billion verses. So the Puranas are always there. Our view differs a little bit from scholars in that all the Vedic literatures, Shruti and Smriti, are one enormous organic whole. Just like a tree has many different branches, but it's not that one Shastra came into existence at a certain time and another came into existence. We have a different view to that. It's a little difficult for scholars to accept in some instances, but that is our view. That's the just like we can study a particular aspect of a tree, and some botanists do that, but they don't necessarily know the other aspects. Trees have many different, they have leaves, fruits, flowers. Nigamakalpa taro galitam phalam sukha mukha amrita drava samyuta. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literatures. So it's considered the most important, just like Vyasadeva was feeling dissatisfied after writing down, with the help of Ganesha, all the Vedic literatures. But it was only after Narad reappeared and said the cause for your dissatisfaction is that you haven't properly or sufficiently glorified Krishna. So now you need to write down this Bhagavat Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's considered like the ripened fruit. Everyone knows trees are wonderful. They provide shelter and shade and can be utilized in so many different ways. But if a tree produces wonderful fruits, like mango trees or all our many other fruit-bearing trees, then so the ripened fruit of the entire tree of Vedic literatures is also described like a wish-fulfilling desire tree, which you go to a wish-fulfilling desire tree, Kalpavriksha tree, and you're feeling like apples, peaches, mangoes, plums. You just request and it supplies. So everything can be, all our desires can be fulfilled by thoroughly studying the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout our life. And that's why Mahaprabhu held it aloof, read it every day in the company of some of his confidential devotees. Never bothered. It wasn't until 100 years or more later that Baladev Vijayabhusana compiled a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, because Mahaprabhu considered the Srimad Bhagavatam the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Vyasadeva. Anything else? All right. Yes? Just hang for the, grab that microphone there so everyone outside can hear.
So what's the carry-on after the Srimad Bhagavatam? What would you recommend?
That's it.
So digest the fruit.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can simultaneously study this Caitanya Charitamrita, which we're doing 2 days a week. 5 days a week we're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and 2 days a week we study this Caitanya Charitamrita. There are 10 topics in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the 10th topic is known as the Samam Bonam. And I did write that down here somewhere in one of my Samam Bonam. What's the Sanskrit word? Sringa Kavacha, can you remember? I've got it written down here for Samam Bonam. I've got it here. Anyone can think? Samam Bonam. Ultimate shelter. Yes. That's Prabhupada's word. Oh, I beg your pardon. Ashraya. Ashraya wasn't it? Yes. So yeah, doesn't go higher than that. So they're all up there in the bookcase. You take full advantage, all right? Sorry? Okay, fantastic. All right, I better stop there. Jai. Shri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hare Krishna.